Hi everyone, you're listening to the Bridgeway podcast. The purpose of these podcasts is to give us the opportunity to share information and thoughts with you and to inspire all of you who work at Bridgeway. As ever, we'd love to hear from you, so if you've got any feedback, please get in touch.
Hi, I'm Zoe Smithurst, Associate Director for SIGI Department here at Bridgeway. This week we're celebrating International Women in Engineering Day, which aims to raise the profile of women in engineering. Today I'm joined by Rachel Wharton, who's the Principal PM for Geomatics.
Hi.
Hi. And also Katie, who's the Senior Project Manager for Geomatics.
Hiya.
Thanks to both of you for agreeing to share your thoughts on this subject with me today. As you know, we do work in a male-dominated environment here at Bridgeway, which currently represents the industry that we're in. What are your honest thoughts on campaigns such as these that promote women in engineering?
Well, in the last decade, the number of women in engineering has doubled, so I do understand why we have them, but it's not something that I tend to focus on. I'm happy to encourage and promote to younger females considering this as a career, but I don't see why there should be a divide between males and females.
I agree. It's good that it raises awareness of women in engineering. However, it's something that I don't focus on either. As for me, it separates women out from the men. For some men, achieving a career in engineering is just as impressive as a woman achieving the same. And being a man doesn't necessarily mean that jobs are given straight to them. They have to work hard too. The other thing is if you do start to look at gender imbalances, you see it across other industries too, such as childcare, nursing, teaching, which are all heavily women-based. But as far as I'm aware, they don't have a Men in Nursing Day or a Men in Childcare Day, which makes you wonder why we have a Women in Engineering Day.
That's a really good point. I never thought about that.
So I suppose campaigns like this do draw attention to these imbalances, and in turn they may try to help create more balance, but yeah, for me it's not really something I focus on.
So we've all been out on site over the years. Is there anything that kind of sticks out that you remember in a positive way or a negative way when you've been out there?
When I first started surveying, it was different on site. People automatically went to the male and saw them as being the one in charge. They'd make comments like, bet you wish you could do that job, or you sure you know what you're doing? And I really felt like I had to prove that I could do the job.
I've kind of had nothing but positive experiences on site from when I first started to now. One of the funniest things is when you're on night shifts and people walk past you kind of expecting to hear a man's voice, and they say hello when you go hiya, and they kind of do a double take and kind of say, oh, apologies for swearing, and are you all right? And it's quite funny. I don't see that as demeaning or negative. Same as men offering to carry kit. I kind of think, well, if you're offering, then yeah, why not?
Yeah, definitely. I guess I've had a digger take my samples from one end of the site to the other for me before, so I see it as a good thing.
Yeah. So in some cases, being a woman on site for me has big positives. And also we now have women's toilets on site, which is something that's improved massively. When I was out on site, it was kind of a men's toilet if you were lucky,
and a cleaning cupboard.
Yeah. So for me, that's really improved, and obviously now we've got women's PPE. So at least you have a choice if you want to wear male or female. Personally, I still prefer the baggy trousers and t-shirts. But as I say, at least the choice is there.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, I'm the same. The women's is a tad snug, so it's very fitted. Well, yeah.
I think when I was out on site, I always felt like I had to be more prepared and ready, kind of knowing exactly what we were doing and what was planned and the reasons for it. Over time, I've seen a lot of guys kind of turn up on site. You don't really have a clue what they're doing, and it's just a bit of a laugh and a joke. If it was me, I think if I turned up like that, I think the perception would be that I'm a woman and didn't really know what I was doing. And having worked on both construction and rail sites, I found that the rail industry seems to be more accepting of women. Do you think construction's different to rail?
From my experience, I'd say yes, but I did start in construction over 17 years ago, so times have changed and so have people's perceptions of women on site. For rail, it's been nothing but positive, and at Bridgeway anyway, we don't seem to see that divide between men and women, but definitely for construction, it was definitely unheard of for sort of a woman to be on a construction site.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really worked in construction. I suppose the closest I've ever seen or been to it is setting out or being around with the installation of footbridges or structures on site, and that does very much tend to be male dominated. You don't see any females involved with that. I've probably seen one woman on site with a welding team, and that was a first aider, and she did pretty much feel like a token just to be there on site. But I do think the biggest split that you kind of see is between site and office. I think there are more women in engineering roles in office-based roles than site. You don't really see women in high-cut packs. Well, I've never seen any. And I've never really seen any women in surveying roles on the rail either, aside from people who work for Bridgeway. So whether that's a personal choice for women, whether they prefer office-based or site-based, or it's just a split that the industry unconsciously creates. But as Katie said, I don't think Bridgeway has this bias at all. And one of our PMs commented recently that he's never worked with so many people, so many women in surveying, which is nice. But you don't feel like this is special in Bridgeway. You don't feel that it's abnormal. You just feel normal. So when you hear that it is something that is different, it's quite nice. Mm-hmm. What's it like for SI? Is it a similar split or?
Thinking back to when I started at Bridgeway like 10 years ago, I was the only woman in the department, and I think one of only 2 or 3 others in the whole engineering department. So since then we've definitely seen an increase, but it can just vary kind of year on year, and it's not something we necessarily think about when recruiting. It's just kind of who's best for the job really. So some years we'll have, there was a year where we took on just all females just because those are the applications we had and they were the right people for the job. And then, other years it may have only just been one. So it just depends really. With regards to the drillers and technicians on site, we're yet to recruit any females, but we have had applications, so I'm sure it's just a matter of time really.
That's good.
Who do you think you had anybody that actually inspired you, or why did you choose this career path?
I wouldn't say I've got anybody who inspired me, but when I was at school I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I applied to do art at college, but my application got mixed up and ended up in engineering. So after speaking to my mum, we decided to go and have a look and see what it was like, and I actually liked what I saw because it's like I'm a very hands-on person. But then when I left college, I still didn't know what I wanted to do, what routes I wanted to go down within engineering. So I went for numerous interviews with companies that made bricks, designed wiring systems for cars and survey. And the thing that sold survey to me was the fact that you could travel all over the country. And luckily, I've enjoyed the job and I've progressed from there really.
Yeah. I fell into surveying as a first job out of university. I think Lisa interviewed me. And the thing that appealed to me was being outside. There was nobody really who inspired me or why I wanted to choose it. I needed a job. I like being outside, willing to learn. So for me, it was just kind of a no-brainer. But when I was leaving school, engineering or surveying was never really promoted or shown as a career path. However, now I probably think there's a broader range of options open to anyone leaving school or college, regardless of gender. And I don't think women leaving university or college now see being a woman as an obstacle to choosing a career. I don't think it even is a thought. I think people just, if they like it, they just apply.
That's what I did basically. It wasn't something that I, necessarily thought about. It was just, I like doing this, so let's go for it.
I actually read today that Cambridge University had more female applications than male applications within the engineering.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good. Excellent. So do you think there's any benefits of having a mixed gender team then?
Yeah, I mean, it allows for both perspectives, but for me, it's what you bring to the table. Skills, personality, attitude and experience are more important than gender.
Yeah, I mean, like you've said already, Zoe, it's the right applicants for the job, whether it's male or female. So if you do create a mixed gender team, I think it's good to have a mix. It brings balance, it brings different skill sets, whether that's soft skills, knowledge or technical, or just even personality traits. It just creates a good team.
Excellent. So, thinking about women coming into the profession, is there any advice that you would give to them?
I'd say there's various career options available within engineering, which are diverse and allows you to be creative. Don't listen to the stigma surrounding the profession, and choose a career path that you get to do something you really enjoy.
Yeah, same. I would say give it a go. It's an interesting profession where you meet a lot of interesting people, and every day is definitely a school day. You're at the forefront of technology, get to work on and see construction close up, and it's also a great sense of achievement to see something you've worked on and been a part of come to life. I've worked on projects where the highest roles in the project were held by women, and so I can safely say you were judged on your work and not your gender. The other thing to remember is that being in a support role within the industry can be just as important as a high profile role, so people shouldn't be put off if they don't feel that they can or want to achieve these high profile roles. There's a place for everyone in engineering.
Well, thanks to you both for sharing your experiences today. And just before we finish, if we look at Bridgeway statistics, it's very encouraging actually to see that women account for 19% of our total staff, which is slightly higher than the rail industry in general, which currently stands at 16%. And of the women that work at Bridgeway, 44% of them are actually employed in an engineering role across the 3 different engineering departments, which is way above the rail industry average of 2%. And if we look at just the engineering departments, then women account for 12%, which, as I said earlier, is actually a massive increase from when I started here. So finishing on that positive note, I hope we've inspired the next generation to follow engineering as a career path and have highlighted some of the challenges out there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.